A philosopher once said that if you dissect every word with a knife, it will bleed. Language is invisible, intangible, yet it possesses a powerful life force. Some words can be like a warm spring breeze, empowering you, but others can be like a sharp knife, silently wounding people. Language is something that can impact every family, every relationship, and your entire life. It can be like gunpowder smoke, causing you and those around you to erupt in conflict, leaving behind deep scars. Or it can be like a gentle breeze on a moonlit night, when hearts are joyful and light. You might be sure that you are not involved in any violence, as we all live by the law. However, the book on nonviolent communication that I'm sharing today will reveal a truth. We are constantly living in a world full of linguistic violence. We might not think our way of speaking is violent, but language often inflicts pain on ourselves and others. This very style of communication can lead to negative emotions, preventing you from living harmoniously with others and loving yourself. The incredibly famous book on communication, Nonviolent Communication, A Language of Compassion, by clinical psychologist Dr. Marshall Rosenberg, was published in 2006, recognized for its groundbreaking achievements in fostering harmonious coexistence and conflict resolution worldwide. This book is exceptionally insightful and helpful because it uncovers the root causes of verbal violence in our lives and provides concrete methods for optimal communication, thereby avoiding conflicts, improving relationships, and bringing happiness. This book is a theoretical summary of Dr. Marshall Rosenberg's nonviolent communication after 50 years of research. It became world-renowned after its publication and is considered a classic in the field of psychology. Now, let's listen to today's insights from the speaker on how we've cast a shadow over love with language. When a mother scolds and criticizes her child, does she truly not love her child? When spouses accuse each other, even curse at each other, do they truly no longer love each other? Life presents a paradox. The more we care about someone we love, the easier it becomes to utter hurtful words to them. Dr. Marshall Rosenberg pointed out that behind every reproach lies a hidden expectation. Because of love and familiarity, we tend to expect more from our partners. And the more we expect, the more we ignore the other person's needs, easily uttering words that wound them, and naturally, they cannot feel your love. According to Dr. Marshall Rosenberg, there are 4 elements that contribute to transforming your daily communication into violence. First, moral judgment, This is using your own moral standards to measure others. Simply put, if someone does something that doesn't align with my will or opinion, then that person might be considered evil or immoral. If you can't finish all your homework, you might say, "This teacher is truly evil. How can anyone finish so much homework?" Or, if you get into a minor fender bender, you might assume the other person doesn't know how to drive or is blind. If your boss assigns you too much work that you can't finish, you might think, "That boss is bleeding employees dry." And so on. Such judgments are very common in life. Because when something happens, we often don't look for the cause within ourselves. Instinctively, we assume the other person is the problem. Words accompanied by criticism, blame, insult, or categorization are all processes where you judge others based on your own morals. This way of thinking is very dangerous. It disregards human emotions and common needs, and it is precisely the root cause of violence. Second, comparison. Look how well they study. We spent the same money on your education as your friends, but look at you. Comparison is a common habit in communication for many people, especially within families, between parents and children. This communication style truly causes immense pain in the other person's heart. In the past, parents compared their children. Nowadays, children are starting to compare their parents. And it's truly sad that we live in a society of relentless comparison. Dr. Marshall Rosenberg quoted a line from another book that I find profoundly true. If you want to live a miserable life, compare yourself to others. The next element that leads to violent communication is often using words to avoid responsibility. Just think about the phrase we often use to deflect blame from ourselves when a problem arises. "I had no choice but to do it this way." There's a story of a Nazi war criminal being interrogated. When asked why he committed such inhumane acts, he replied, "I had to do it. It was an order from my commander." Most criminals find a reason for their crimes, a reason that never originates from themselves. In our daily lives, it's not much different. This wasn't my original intention. I was late today because of traffic. I couldn't do it because this year's exam was too difficult, and so on. Furthermore, you need to pay more attention. Complaining is also a way to avoid responsibility. Even more seriously, the book tells a story of a woman attending Dr. Marshall Rosenberg's workshop, who lamented, "Oh my God, I hate cooking. I don't want to cook. Why do I have to do this for 20 years?" Dr. Marshall Rosenberg then approached her, first comforting her. "I'm so sorry you've had to do a job you dislike for 20 years. I hope nonviolent communication will help you find a solution." When people feel understood, they are ready to sit down and listen. Immediately after the workshop, she decided not to cook for her family anymore. 3 weeks later, her 2 sons attended the workshop to share how they felt about their mother no longer cooking. But to everyone's surprise, the eldest son exclaimed, "Oh, thank God. Finally, we don't have to listen to complaints at every meal anymore." Why was the child so joyful? In reality, the impact of the mother not cooking was not as significant for the children as the effect of her constant complaining at every meal. The mother expressed her resentment and complaints because she was tired from working all day and still had to cook. Superficially, this seemed like a plea for understanding, care, and shared responsibility from her family, but internally, it was a desire to stop doing it. Ultimately, complaining is a form of self-responsibility avoidance. However, it was precisely these complaints that inadvertently subjected the family to serious emotional violence, making them think, "It's better if Mom doesn't cook at all." If you are in this situation and there's no way for family members to share the burden, the author advises changing your mindset from, "I have to do it," to, "I choose to do it." If you see cooking as a burden, making you irritable while you do it, you'll feel exhausted. Your words and actions will subtly become a form of violence inflicted upon your family. Instead, if you prepare a meal with love in your heart thinking, "I choose to do this for my children, and it's wonderful that I can take care of them," this feeling of willingness will fill your heart with joy. You need to know that people only truly start doing things well and find genuine happiness when they do so voluntarily. Pay a little attention. Why does your child utterly despise doing homework? Because they believe they have asterisk to do it. You feel powerless to make them understand that this is something they asterisk choose to do. Instead, the more you force your child to study, scolding them, or monitoring if they're studying, only reinforces their belief that this is something I asterisk have asterisk to do. They will either rebel or obey, but perform these tasks in misery. The final reason communication becomes violent is asterisk asterisk threats asterisk. For example, a mother tells her child, "Your test score this time is too low. Mom is very sad." Do you think this statement is violent? This sentence sounds very gentle. It's not like the shouting, hitting, or cursing from an angry, strict parent. Indeed, it's more effective than scolding children, but it is still considered violent communication. You might think you're unhappy because your child got a bad score. That's not entirely it. You're unhappy because your child failed to meet one of your expectations, the desire for them to get a high score. When you say, "Mom is sad because your score is low," it means you have shifted all responsibility onto your child. This communication style might be effective for a short time. The child, feeling guilty, will try to study harder to avoid making their mother sad. But you need to realize that, at this point, they are no longer studying for the sake of learning, nor will they find joy in learning itself. And remember, do not use this way of speaking as a heartfelt conversation with someone you love. Subtly, it is a violent statement because you are uttering words that bind, sounding emotional, but actually coercing and threatening the other person to comply with your desires. Looking broadly at relationships, you'll notice that our lives are filled with such threatening communication styles. "If you don't do this, then I'll do that." As long as you haven't reflected on the problematic nature of your communication, you might still inadvertently or intentionally spread violent words to those around you. This way of speaking will obscure and dim the love you inherently hold for the other person. So, what exactly is nonviolent communication, and how should we use it to transform our lives? The first step in nonviolent communication is *** observation ***. Observe what? observe the facts. In other words, speak the truth. In communication, this is not easy because most people easily confuse observation with judgment. Therefore, we always carry our own evaluations and judgments into what we perceive as truth. For example, your team leader tells you, "I think your work performance lately hasn't been very good." Do you think this is a statement of fact or a judgment? Clearly, it's a judgment. When people feel judged, they immediately react, and these reactions are mostly excuses, blame, or evasive talk, solely to protect themselves. So, you can easily guess that when this employee hears that their work performance is deemed not good, they will become defensive and find countless reasons to justify themselves. Both sides will never achieve effective communication. The team leader won't achieve their goal of improving the employee's work attitude, while the employee might feel angry and resentful. So, what does it mean to state the facts? Change it to a different sentence. I noticed in your attendance record that you were late 4 times. This is stating the facts without hastily drawing conclusions about others' actions. You cannot know the specific reason why that employee was late. Your job is to describe what you have observed. When you state the facts, the listener can receive it more easily, and they will also respond with facts, not by fabricating excuses. The famous Indian philosopher Jiddu Krishnamurti once said that observing without evaluating is the highest form of human intelligence. The more I reflect on this statement, the more I find it true for everything, including communication. There's also a very good poem here. I have never seen a lazy person. I have only met a person who sometimes naps or doesn't go out when it rains, but he is not a lazy person. Before you speak carelessly, please consider whether he is a lazy person or if his actions are lazy. I have never met a stupid child. I have only met a child who sometimes doesn't understand something or doesn't follow instructions correctly. But he is not a stupid child. Before you speak carelessly, please consider whether he is a stupid child or if what he understands is simply different from you. Confucius once said that a gentleman is not a tool, junzai bu qi, junzi bu kai asterisk, meaning a gentleman is not a single tool only used for one specific task. I know a friend who takes beautiful photos. His pictures are loved by many, and many brands seek him out for photography. After many years, people still praise his beautiful photos, calling him a great photographer. But deep down, he feels uneasy and distressed, thinking, "Am I going to be just a photographer for my entire life?" Why did he feel pain? That is the pain of junzi bu qi, of being limited to a single label. Everyone desires to be a complete person and to progress further in the future. You can respectfully call them a master of their craft, but never define or pigeonhole them as just a photographer, a chef, a driver, etc. The poem above carries profound spiritual and moral value. If you fully grasp it, you will understand. Never hastily conclude, label, or judge a person. Just observe without carrying any evaluations. If you can cultivate this, it is truly a magnificent quality. Nonviolent communication also requires another crucial step. Expressing your feelings. Why must you express your true feelings in communication? Because if you cannot articulate what is genuinely within you, you will never achieve the purpose of communication. The purpose of nonviolent communication is to help us express ourselves while also listening to others in an atmosphere of peace and love. If a person cannot express their ultimate intentions or desires, they will instead substitute it with emotional outbursts. Throughout this book, one quote deeply impressed me. Behind every anger, there is an unmet need. Therefore, to meet your own needs, you must first take the next step. Express your feelings after observing and stating the facts. Why is it important to express emotions outwardly? Because we are very hesitant to show our true emotions. This has affected us since childhood. Countless times, our true feelings have been dismissed. For instance, when you fell, your mother might have said, "Hit that chair, doesn't hurt, doesn't hurt." Or when you faced an injustice at school because a friend kept taking your eraser, your father might have said, "There's no need to cry over such a trivial matter." Adults always believe that hiding emotions is a sign of maturity, and that a child crying in public is shameful, and that they themselves should not reveal their emotions. But we were clearly mistaken. In reality, if we don't know how to care for and express our emotions, one outcome is that we will suppress too much, potentially leading to depression. Another is suddenly losing our temper and composure with others. Expressing emotions is not shameful at all. Losing control of emotions is what should be avoided. When the author asked an angry person, "What's wrong?" they replied, "He's harassing me, I want to hit him." Note that this is not a statement of feeling, it is more of a judgment. To express feelings, you need to use words like, "I am furious," "I am heartbroken," "lonely," "scared," "stressed," "anxious," "angry," "frustrated," "disappointed," "lost," or "regretful." These are words that express your unmet feelings, or words like happy, joyful, warm, excited, peaceful, lighthearted, safe, or comfortable are the words that express your feelings of contentment. Practice communicating your true feelings to others. Instead of seeing your husband not coming home for several nights and saying, "Do you even consider this your home anymore?" Observe the facts, state the truth, and express your feelings. "You haven't been home for X nights. I feel very sad because." Starting communication this way helps you express the love you inherently possess in the right direction. But expressing feelings is still not enough. You need to move to the third element of nonviolent communication, expressing your needs. You might mistakenly think that expressing needs means stating your ultimate desires. However, it's crucial to note that needs here refers to the root cause of your feelings. What is the root cause of your feelings? It means, why do you feel this way? What is the underlying reason for your dissatisfaction? For example, one friend says to another, "I'm very disappointed that you didn't come to the party yesterday." The friend hearing this might feel resentful, perceiving a series of reproaches and feeling misunderstood by the other person. But if you replace it with a nonviolent communication style sentence like this, "I feel very disappointed that you didn't come to the party yesterday because I wanted to talk to you about some recent troubles." You will see that the communication effect is completely different, because here, the speaker has expressed why he is disappointed. This is precisely the need behind the feeling of disappointment. The difference between these two statements is that the disappointment in the first sentence is disappointment due to the other person's action whereas the disappointment in the second sentence is disappointment because the speaker's own desire was not met. At all times, find the issue within yourself, not in others. When you bring the issue back to yourself, the listener will accept your words more easily. And then, the other friend will understand, "Ah, I am very important to this person." He won't be angry, won't blame, won't complain. And because of this, the two people won't grow apart. We need to remember that in nonviolent communication, there is an extremely important principle. If you want your requests to be positively received, you must be honest about why you have that need. Therefore, the author advises you to frequently use the sentence structure, "I feel this way because I need this." For example, if you say, "Today is our anniversary and you didn't do anything. I feel very disappointed." Replace it with, "Today is our anniversary and you didn't do anything. I feel very disappointed because I deeply value the meaning of our wedding day. I believe it's an important day that symbolizes our love." Next, we move to the final goal in nonviolent communication, expressing what you truly want. The author calls this requesting help. Simply changing your mindset and vocabulary will immediately transform your expression. When you want someone to do something for you, you should request not command asterisk. Many people cannot distinguish between these two entirely different things. If your request is not met and you start criticizing or blaming, then that request is considered a command. And if, while making a request, we exploit the other person's emotions, guilt, or remorse to achieve our goals, that is also considered a command. Let me illustrate. Someone says to their friend, "I'll be so sad if I go alone. Can you come with me?" At this point, you haven't distinguished whether it's a request or a command. But if you hear that friend refuse for some reason, and you then criticize or even think that person is selfish, your request at that moment transforms into a command. So, would it be okay to say it this second way? "If you care about me, then come with me?" This statement doesn't sound wrong at all. In fact, many people often use this method to make requests of others. However, you need to be careful because this is also considered a command, carefully disguised to emotionally bind others and force them to comply with your will. All such requests are ineffective in communication, and over time, they even damage mutual affection. Furthermore, when people cannot issue commands, they often don't dare to state what they do want. Instead, they intentionally express what they don't want, and then simply wait for others to guess their intentions. But when the other person fails to understand, they then feel hurt or blame that person for not understanding them or not truly loving them. Suppose a wife says, "I don't want you to keep working so much overtime." So, the next week, the husband no longer works overtime, but instead signs up for a golf class. The wife gets furious. Why? Because she actually wanted her husband to spend more time with the family. We need to know that not everyone is good at listening or has the psychological capacity to understand the desires behind your words, because they themselves may be unconsciously expressing and communicating violently. So, what is the effective way to express your requests? At this point, you must combine all 4 elements of nonviolent communication: observation asterisk expressing feelings asterisk, stating needs asterisk, and finally, asterisk requesting help asterisk. For example, you entrusted an important document to a colleague for safekeeping, but the next day, he left it right on the table. You get angry, but at this moment, carefully observe your feelings and use words to express them as truthfully as possible. First, we must observe and state the facts. "I saw you left the important documents I gave you on the table." Next, express your feelings. "I feel a bit disappointed." Then, state the root need behind that feeling. "Because I asked you to keep them carefully, and I'm very worried about the safety of these papers. If they get lost, it will have very serious consequences." And finally, request help. "I would like you to put these documents in a drawer and lock them, because they are truly important." When the colleague hears this, he will realize his carelessness and immediately put the documents away. Because through such honest communication, he feels equality in the relationship and thus will no longer feel resentment. In essence, nonviolent communication is a way of speaking that requires us to re-examine our thinking and word choice, being cautious about which phrases make people uncomfortable or even cause strong resentment and animosity. The absolute core of nonviolent communication is that you must always express yourself honestly and truly listen. Through this kind of self-communication, we can feel the beauty of life and an atmosphere always filled with love. A young boy entered a temple and asked a wise man, "Why does the Buddha in the temple have a small mouth but very large ears?" The wise man replied, "Because the Buddha understands that listening is more important than speaking." People often love to express themselves. They always try to learn how to present, speak, and articulate well first. But especially for me, learning to listen is even harder. As Dr. Marshall Rosenberg once said, there is only one way to become a good speaker: learn to listen to others. True listening is very important, but it seems we still don't truly know how to listen. In this book, the author shows you what is preventing you from listening and invites you to reflect on whether you are truly listening to others. Suppose someone says, "If you do it this way, you'll earn a lot of money." Constantly giving opinions to others is the first thing that prevents you from listening. And many people, whenever someone else tells a story, love to recall their own experiences. "This reminds me, I once had a similar experience." Or they compare themselves. "Oh, this is nothing. What I went through before was far scarier." Others will try to comfort. "It's not your fault, you tried your best." Or deny, "Come on, cheer up, why be sad? A breakup isn't that painful, is it?" Or pity, "You're so pathetic." There are also people who, when listening to others, love to ask questions, believing that asking is showing concern for others. All these things are preventing you from truly listening to others. Liking to express yourself, wanting to steer the conversation towards yourself, making yourself the center, these all make you easily interrupt others. Or, wanting to please others, to ensure they don't lose face or get hurt, you often comfort, deny, or express pity and sympathy to others. These actions only reveal an ego that lacks genuine empathy for that person. The other person can fully sense whether you truly want to understand them or not, and none of these constitute true listening. Simply put, the way to listen is to let go of all your own thoughts and judgments and focus on what the other person is saying. Remember the saying, "The ear is the path to the soul." only by truly listening intently can we enter each other's hearts, understand each other's stories, and comprehend each other more deeply. In the book, the author also emphasizes that listening is paying attention to others. It is an expression of love. So that's nonviolent communication. Let's briefly recap. In summary, you need to remember 4 keywords in nonviolent communication: observation asterisk, feelings asterisk asterisk, needs asterisk, and requests asterisk asterisk. Nonviolent communication might sound complicated, but in reality, by simply applying these 4 elements in practice, without overly focusing on the order, you will be able to achieve effective nonviolent communication. And finally, I want to tell you that learning nonviolent communication doesn't just improve your speaking skills. More than that, you will also learn many other things. First, you will learn how to love yourself asterisk asterisk. When using nonviolent communication, you need to observe and express your own feelings. These actions are like a form of self-awareness training, making you pay more attention to your mind and internal changes. This attention will also turn into acute awareness of others. If we can clearly know whether we are happy, sad, excited, or bored, then every moment lived with self-awareness is the most precious gift for you to love yourself. And second, you will learn how to truly listen asterisk asterisk. Nonviolent communication is not for us to conquer each other with words, but for people to understand the power of listening. Many conflicts and disagreements are not resolved by speaking, but by listening. And finally, you will learn how to express anger and gratitude. I am angry. I don't like this. I am sad, and you are wonderful. Thank you, etc., are all among the hardest words to say in our daily lives. When refusal becomes difficult to express, when anger becomes impossible to express, when appreciating someone becomes silent care. This way of living easily leads people into states of boredom, anxiety, and even depression. Nonviolent communication teaches you that anger is a self-protective instinct. You don't need to suppress it, but also don't vent it indiscriminately. Instead, learn how to express it. The concept of nonviolent communication can impact your perspective on everything, change your attitude towards negative things, and even help you improve your quality of life with boundless love for yourself and everyone around you. As Ramin Roland once said, there is only one heroism in the world: to see life as it is and to love it. Thank you for listening until the very end.